And I welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. We're entering a week of another American holiday. But how many people realize the truth and the significance and the sacrifice that brings to you yet another barbecue? There are dates in our history that we might remember, but there are so many more that prequel our liberty and independence. While we will cover the news this week, I want to use this week for us, at least up till Wednesday, to go back in time and realize the importance of our history. In the past few years, we have seen a rise in the hate for our past. But what many do not take time to understand is that good and the bad of it, history brings us to where we are today. We should not forget or displace or hate the historical events of our nation. Embrace the facts and move forward. If you hide, destroy, or try to erase, which is impossible, you are bound sooner or later to repeat the bad. History will repeat itself. In the next few days, I hope to humanize our founding fathers and my new term, founding fighters, for those who are never mentioned but fought on the battlefield and died. They were the boots on the ground, giving the ultimate sacrifice. History is not boring unless you make it to be. I will do my best to keep it exciting, for that it is, it was, and it shall be. All of us enjoy hearing the stories of our grandparents, of their days in war or struggles to survive. Not just how he walked to school uphill both ways. That's what my dad used to say. Nearly all of us have such ancestors, regardless of the wars or the battles or the personal or national struggles. These events, these struggles, bring us to a place in life. These events, these tragedies, they might shape us in some ways, but it is our character and how we handle the challenges of life and death that make us who we are, and passes along, shapes our families, and eventually our nation. The poem, The Patriot, walks us through history of our own nation, speaking out of men and women of our past, and bringing us to them. They were not particularly special in the world standards, but they were a people, persons, who didn't allow the conflicts to get in the way of the goal: liberty, independence, and freedom. So God made a patriot. This was recited by Fred Thompson. On the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a defender. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody who is willing to sacrifice everything, his fortune, his sacred honor, and even his life for liberty. Something called inalienable right that he cannot see, but he knows he cannot live without. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to ride a horse through sleepy towns in the dark of night, sounding the alarm, entreating neighbors to take up arms against an overwhelming force of wicked Timon. So God made a patriot. God said, I need someone who even after crushing defeats rises up and stands tall. Someone who hears the clarion call that these are the times that try men's souls, but does not shrink from the trial. Someone who will cross a frozen river in the dead of winter when all logic and reason says, turn back, abandon hope. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who knows of the rise and fall of great nations, who knows of human nature and the corrupting influence of power, and the fragility of liberty. I need this man, and along with his like-minded brethren, to write an enduring constitution. So God made a patriot. God said, I need a person, one person, who's willing to do whatever it takes, even write a book to confront injustice and spark a movement that would tear apart a people so that chains will rightfully be shattered and a blessed union will eventually emerge. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need someone who, with the love of family and for the love of country, will cross a vast ocean and storm a heavily fortified beach. And if he survives, charge through 200 yards of bullets and blood across the merciless beach. And if he survives, scale the towering cliff. And if he survives, begin the long march to a free continent. And if he survives, return home with the same resolute determination to rebuild a nation and someday be called the greatest generation. God said, I need someone who will, without thought of self, invest in schools and scouts and church and community so that the proposition all men are created equal remains a beacon to enlighten the world, and that such a beacon will not perish from this earth. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need someone who will have the courage to not give up her seat on a bus and thus force a nation to confront its deepest division and heal the wounds and pursue the dream that inspires all hearts. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone strong enough to stand against any enemy, foreign or domestic, that would try to steal the freedom so dearly defended, the rights of so righteously upheld, yet gentle enough to help a small child carry a star-spangled flag in a hometown parade. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who will speak the truth to his own leaders, that in order to preserve our great nation, we will not sacrifice the well-being of the future generations for the sake of our own. Someone who will tirelessly toil day upon night, no matter the setback, no thought of surrender. Someone who will prayerfully rise every morning to climb the wall as a defender and duly endowed with the honored gift of generations before, while offering a solemn promise to generations ahead. A defender who will ensure that the way of truth and the torch of liberty remain forever lit in this shiny city on a hill. So God made a patriot. We have our guest today, Phil Winkler. He's an author. He knows his history. And what a perfect way to start the 4th of July week with a bang. Pun intended. Welcome back, Phil. How are you doing today?